everyone, please excuse me, and I know loads of you are so nice and you're like, oh, you look really lovely or whatever, but I feel a wreck today. I have got the mother of all hangovers, and Barocca is getting me through this. I went to a wedding yesterday, and that I vlogged it, and that was meant to be today's video. However, yesterday's wedding was out of hand. There was drinks involved. Someone found the keys to a golf buggy. You can imagine it got crazy. So what I thought we could talk about instead is I have got a new Chanel that I'm going to show you, and it's a very, God, that's really dirty. It's a very different purchase for me. It's my first ever tweed Chanel, which I never really thought I'd own one as such, only because I hadn't seen one that I loved. But I'm going to show you this, and I'm also going to talk to you as we go about my 5 tips, personal tips that I implement when buying from Chanel. And if you're new to Chanel, or actually even if you're not, I'm going to share these tips with you and hope that they help you. What is the first tip? I need to look on my phone. I don't know. Oh yeah, number 1. If you are buying Chanel for investment, I really think there are 2 brands that are the best for investment. You've got Hermes, which, you know my thoughts and opinions on Hermes. I do think it's really overrated, to be honest, as a brand. Don't kill me for that, it's just my opinion. However, when it comes to buying for resale, you're winning all day with that brand. The other brand that I really think it works with is Chanel, and even Dior and Louis Vuitton. For me personally, that's not where I've made the biggest markup. The biggest markup every single time has been Chanel. So if you want to buy for investment, I really think this brand, can I even get this ribbon off? When buying for investment, the safest thing to go for is to go for the classic flap or the 2.55. However, there are exceptions to the rule. So for example, if you buy something that is really hot right now, let's say you have bought a particular bag, it's in a current collection, it's in a colour everyone's trying to get hold of and it's sold out. If you can get those, you can double your money on those things. See it as like stocks and shares almost. If you're in it for the long run, buy a classic flap in black. If you're in it for the short term, there's a trend out, there's something that's really hot that everyone's after, try and get your hands on it, and you can sell it right now and normally make more money on it. That's my general rule. Try and make friends and build up a relationship with a sales associate. I really do think that brands like Dior are a lot more open-minded to this, and even if you haven't necessarily bought something from a person, they're quite open, in Harrods at least. They're quite keen to give you their mobile number to have you on WhatsApp so that they can keep you in touch with anything new that might be in. Chanel, I feel as a brand, are a little bit more stuffy when it comes to this, but if you can build up that relationship, it really pays in the long run. The best thing to do if you're looking to do this is go and look at a particular product. If you're buying something, even if it's an SLG, that's a really good point to broach the subject of, hey, you know, there's a particular item I'm looking for, or I want to buy a bag but I haven't seen the right one, I might want one in the next collection. Is there any way that we can get in touch on WhatsApp and you can let me know if anything like that comes in? Just try it. Some sales associates are more open to it than others. Point number 4 is to know your materials. When you're buying Chanel, particularly for investment, or actually not even necessarily for that, it's good to have an idea of the bags they do and the materials they do it in. So for example, caviar. Don't know if you can see this. Caviar is essentially a slightly harder wearing leather, and it looks like caviar. It's kind of slightly pebbled. If you want to buy a Chanel bag and actually use it and not have to worry so much, I do recommend this. It is personal preference. Some people love it, some people hate it. Ideally, I would get a medium classic flap in lambskin. However, I've got a boy bag in lambskin and it just doesn't wear at all. Doesn't matter how kind you are to it, it marks up so easily. I have to say that when it comes to retail, I haven't noticed too much of a difference between lambskin and caviar. It really just depends on the quality of the leather. So if you're selling a lambskin bag and it's trashed, then obviously you're going to get less for it than something that isn't. The next point, and this is a question I get asked so often, is do you buy a bag or do you buy an SLG, a small leather good, so a purse or a wallet or a card holder? Some of you may notice that I don't actually own a lot of SLGs, not just from Chanel, but in fact from any of the brands. And the reason for that is that you can pay, I actually have a wallet from Chanel and it cost me around about £700. And I got into thinking that I would rather put that 700 towards a bag as opposed to a wallet. But the reason why I was doing it is because, and I know loads of you the same because you tell me this, but you are saving up money because there's something you want. And it takes so long to save up the money that by the time you're like 50% of the way through, temptation gets the better of you. You're like, I can't even wait for this bag anymore. I'm just gonna go and buy the wallet. The thing is, the wallet is not gonna satisfy your need. You're still gonna want that bag in the long run and you're just gonna be back to saving from zero again. So I think that if you are buying for investment, SLGs do so well. There's a bigger market of people looking to spend up to £700 on something small that's Chanel than there is an audience of people looking to spend in excess of 2,500. Do you see what I mean? So the bags, because they're so much more, when you sell them, you're looking at a narrower audience of people that have that money to spend. Whereas when you've got something on the lower end, you can mark that item up. So you bought it for 250, let's say, it's now worth 400, sell it for 300, they're getting a discount and you're making a bit of a profit. And there generally tends to be a bigger audience and your sales tend to be better from selling that kind of thing. But if you're buying for yourself, unless you want the wallet, of course, I actually think it's not really worth it. When you buy a bag, it doesn't actually have to be from Chanel, it can be from any brand. It's really important that you keep hold of all of your paperwork. Even on small leather goods, the item from Chanel will have a serial number in it that's stuck on like one of those holographic stickers where if you tamper with it, it rips and you can see. Now the serial number on there should tally up to the serial number that you get on the authenticity card. And in addition, that exact same serial number is on your receipt. So when you buy your item, make sure that you keep everything together. It's good for your house insurance, so I put all of my bags on my house insurance and they need the receipts for that anyway. But it's also really good because when it comes to sell your item, it gives more trust to the person buying. I am always very suspicious when I buy bags on the internet and there is no paperwork with it, because I just personally think you don't go and drop several £1,000s and put the paperwork in the bin. I don't believe that anyone would do that. I think the only time that might happen is if you bought something like 10 years ago. Mind you though, I've got bags from 10 years ago and I've still got the paperwork, but I think that if you've got a bag that you never anticipated selling and you just use it like a workhorse, then maybe then. But I just question that. I just really do. Particularly when the amount of times that I'll go to look at a bag on like Vestiaire Collective or eBay and it's like bought as a gift and it's like, you know, that's a big gift. But I say keep your receipts, because what that also means is when you sell it, more people are going to be interested in your product. Just imagine you got two of the same bag for sale on eBay. One's got all of the paperwork, you know it's the real deal. The other one is just on its own, maybe with a dust bag, and there's like a sketchy story about it was bought as a gift or I've lost the paperwork. Your one is going to perform better than the other one. How beautiful is this bag? The colour on the camera, I can already see it's not doing it justice. This is the classic flap in the medium size and it's in tweed. And on here it's got a combination of fuchsia pink, sort of like a purpley pink, and then silver iridescent. It's got a pale pink piece of leather running through the handle. And I've never had tweed before. It feels kind of squidgy. Kind of feels like a teddy bear in a weird way. So the situation with this was, I've never before seen a Chanel bag in tweed that I've ever actually liked. And I never really entered my mind to get one. Incidentally, I'm gonna compare this to the classic. This is in the large size, this is in the medium. You can see the size difference there. Pretty much this one's taller and a bit wider. But on this one, that is the length of the chain there, but also to have it longer so you can wear it over your shoulder or crossbody. On this one, it's quite a bit shorter and that looks like you can only wear it over your shoulder. I saw this on Instagram and then the next day I was actually going into London anyway. So I thought, oh, I'll go and see if they have it. I went into Harrods, and initially I went into the ground floor handbag section. I don't normally shop from there because the lady who is my SA works on the first floor, but I just thought, oh, I'll check here because sometimes they have more bags on ground floor. And I never find that the ground floor area is particularly friendly. I think it's because there's a lot of footfall because people coming off the street to look there perhaps, but there's a lot of security. There's a lot of pushing and shoving and trying to get through to the counter. It's just generally quite busy, and I rarely find that the people there have got too much time for you. It's like, are you going to buy? Yes, no. Do you want it? Yes, no. Otherwise, you just feel quite rushed. Whereas gone to the first floor, it's a lot more relaxed and they've got a lot more time for you. Anyway, I showed the lady the picture and she was like, no, we don't have it. And I was like, oh, can you check anywhere that does have it? She was like, no, it's summer collection. No one's got it. And I was like, well, please, can you check? And then she came back and she was like, oh, Brompton Road might have one, but I don't know. Anyway, I got upstairs and I saw my friend, who's my SA there. And she was like, oh, I don't know actually if we have those because they sold out. They were part of the summer collection. Anyway, she comes out and I wanted the small size. She was like, I've only got medium. And I was like, well, I'll take the medium. As soon as I saw it, it's so unusual and it's so pretty and it's kind of like Barbie-ish. Whenever I buy a new bag, even if I've really planned it out and I know I really want it, I always feel like I want to be sick after I've bought it. Every single time, I feel like I want to be, like, I feel nauseous. I feel stressed about the amount of money that it was. And pretty much every single time I buy a bag, I can't sleep that night. And I had the same thing with this. I was having like really restless dreams about how much I spent on it. It's kind of annoying. I know some of you have said the same thing. You get the same thing. Even if you're 110% that you love it, it's like, wow, it took me this long to like earn that money and now I've just spent it in like 5 seconds or whatever. I actually don't know what I've done with the receipt around here, but I can tell you this was £3,100. Didn't pay that for it though, because I do all of my shopping in Harrods. They've got the rewards card and I had £400 credit on there. Another thing I was going to say actually, and please forgive me if you've been with me a while and you've already heard me say this before, but for anyone who's new, if you have never shopped in Chanel or any of these high-end stores, sometimes when I remember even with me years ago, when I first walked in, I felt very intimidated and very kind of conscious, and you think people are looking at you, or maybe you think that people think you shouldn't be in there. And I just want to say, never think like that. Half the time it's in your imagination. No one's actually thinking that of you. And the amount of times I go in now and I might have come from the gym or I might have come from work and I look like a complete slob, and I think it's 100% about how you feel in your own mind and your own confidence and your sense of belonging. Plus as well, if you don't care, that really helps. Just generally in life, not caring about things is really good. But also when you get in there, don't be afraid to ask prices. If that's your thing, if you are maybe saving for something and you're not going to buy it there and then, but you want to take a look at it close up or know how much it is, don't be afraid to ask. I have no shame. I've gone in there before and said, look, what is the cheapest thing you've got here? I don't even care. At the end of the day, they're making commission anyway, and we're all going to work and earning our money, and very few people can just walk in and be like, yeah, I'll take 10 of everything. Although you do see those people in London. I'm like, wow, your closet must be amazing. If you're new to Chanel and you're thinking, what do I buy? How do I go about buying it? I hope that this has helped you. Equally, if you have now got a thing for this bag, I will, do you know something? I don't think they've given me the serial number for it. I'm going to find it and I'll put it below this video. So if you want it and you want to be able to phone up your local boutique and see if they've got it, then I'll put that information down there. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.